All right, so we're going to start this show off. This is the Kean Sports Show with John Mastice. Haven't done one in a while. Don't know if I'm going to do another one after this. We'll see, but there was a lot of good content that I was able to gather up thanks to all the great coaches at Kean. So I wanted to get that out to everyone. And basically, we could recap the months of January and February. Why don't we start with swimming, because I have a great interview with Coach Chris Swenson, and his team did really good at the Mets championship. They finished 6 out of, I believe it was 14 teams, so that's pretty darn good. They had 427.5 points, which is 251 more than they had last year, which just is a huge testament to Chris and how great he's building this program up. Lots of records fell. I believe it was, I don't want to say the wrong number, but I believe it was 14. I know they broke 8 on the final day. So that's phenomenal work by them. Christina Sullivan broke 2 school records during one event with new times in the 1,000 free. Lauren Beyer established a new record in the 200 back. So this is all great stuff. And yeah, I have a great interview with Chris. So why don't we take a listen to Coach Chris Swenson? Here it is. All right, Coach Swenson with me. Coach, 8-7 this year, 2 years removed from this program being at 0-8. How have you gone about rebuilding this program and changing the culture here?
First, I was very fortunate to walk into a situation where we had some talent on the roster already. And from there, it's just about developing. And I make it pretty clear in the beginning of the season what my intentions are, what my expectations are, and basically there's 2 ways you can go about it. You can either fall in line with that, and all the girls have done a really good job of that, and then for those where it's too much of a commitment, those kids don't typically last, and that's okay, because that's all part of building a culture from the ground up. So we've done a great job. We've got a great group of 9 girls, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds, considering we have 0 seniors on the roster.
4 records fell in your regular season finale, including 2 by Christina Sullivan in the 1,000 free and 500 free. Talk about her growth since you've arrived here at Kean.
That's a kid who is a prime example of just getting lost in the shuffle in a bigger program. The talent obviously was always there. The work ethic was there. We've just been very fortunate that she came to Kean, because she has done nothing but improve since the first day I got a chance to work with her. If you look at her times and her records from last year, she's already faster in season, unrested this year than she was at Mets last year. And that's a pretty tough thing to do when you some of the events that she does. But very excited to see what she could do in a couple weeks at championships, and then obviously having her for 2 more years is exciting. So very impressed with her, but that's a kid who never comes late to practice. She never misses a practice, and the hard work is obviously paying off.
18 records fell altogether this year. Who is somebody that surprised you the most this season and took the biggest leaps in their game?
Hard to single out one. We were very fortunate mid-year to get 2 transfers, which really helped bolster the roster. So that really, I think, completed and made this group of 9 pretty special. I think we've got a chance to break more than 18 next weekend at Mets, and that's just in one meet. So like I said, it's hard to single anybody out, but, you preach to kids in the beginning of the year, trust the process. And I know that gets overused in sports a lot, but, I think Mary Harmuth would be a good one. She, throughout the year, has worked really hard and swam really well. And then obviously on Saturday, it all came together in her 200 breast and doing a lifetime best swim in our pool, breaking a record held by Tori Hayes from last year, which was done at Mets. That was a really big deal. But again, they're all swimming really well. And, I don't think you break 18 records with just an individual doing individual things. I think they all work together as a team, and it's really helped the culture.
Let's talk about those 2 midseason transfers with Lauren and Bianca. How has their game? How has their transition gone since joining the team?
Well, I think when you have fast swimmers coming in mid-year and kids that know how to train at a high level, I think that only helps your current roster continue to train at a high level. It's been great to watch them come in, blend in with the team pretty seamlessly, and I really like what they bring, not just from the athletic standpoint, but in terms of just personality. They fit with what we're looking for. They work hard. They show up every day. They're on time. They're going above and beyond in practice, and I'm really excited to see what they could do. Lauren, having swam first semester, she is already faster swimming here than she was all of the first semester at TCNJ, so that's really exciting. And then Bianca didn't swim first semester. She was at community college, so she's gotten herself into shape pretty quickly, and I think she's going to surprise herself in a couple weeks.
Your team was named to the All-American Scholar team. How important is that to you, knowing that you're recruiting good in and out of the water?
Well, I've always said that, the recruiting in the water is going to come, but one thing that we can always really focus on is bringing in the best student athletes. I don't like staying up at night wondering if my kids are going to be eligible or not. So we do a good job as a staff of targeting kids that come in and do well academically. And that's always going to be the priority. You're a student first, you're an athlete second. And to be a student athlete, Division 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter. It requires a lot of sacrifice and a lot of dedication and a lot of time management. And we have a group of young women that do a really good job of balancing both. And, it's not for everybody. So the fact that we're breaking records, we're swimming well, we're above 500 in the regular season, that's all great. But the 3.48 GPA to me is definitely the proudest moment of the fall semester.
Final part of the season coming up with Mets. What do you expect to see out of your team and from the rest of the competition there in Rutgers?
That meet's always exciting. I've loved that meet since I was a student athlete. It's hard to believe I've been out of that conference for 15 years, but I really just expect to see these girls cash in on a season's worth of hard work. We have very high expectations as a team. We've got some pretty lofty goals that I think we can reach this year, one of which is to finish in the top 6. Last year we were 14th, the year before that 16th. So again, I realize that's a pretty big jump, but I think we've got 9 women that can all score in their individual events, plus contribute into some relays that could really translate into qualifying for A finals, which makes top 8. And I'm really just excited to see how it all comes together. But I don't really get too specific with times of the girls. I just really that all comes, but I think if they stick together, they cheer for each other, they're behind the blocks when girls are racing, I think that energy and that adrenaline will take over, and the rest takes care of itself. So I pretty much let them run the meet. I just am there, to kind of facilitate things and move things along, but I try not to be too hands-on at championships, because I think if they stay nice and relaxed, they're going to swim fast no matter what.
14 records fell in your Mets appearance a year ago. Do you see that number going up this year as your team has improved again?
I think it'll go up. We may even double that this year. Wow. And that is just indicative of how good the girls are and how hard they've worked. But I fully expect, to set every single record on the record board. I tell the girls jokingly that I don't like seeing records that are older than me up there, so the goal is to reset every single one of those and keep resetting every single one of those every season moving forward. That's why we do it. So they're doing a great job. I'm really excited, but those are our expectations, and we'll see how they do when the meet comes around, but I'm excited to see what they can do.
Thanks, Coach. All right, and again, thanks to Chris Swenson for doing that interview. Great guy, great team that he's built in the last couple of years here, and just like last year, they're only going to get better. Let's move on to both basketball teams. We'll start with the women's team. It was a tough ending for them. They lost to Jersey City 59-58. I wasn't able to do the game. I had prior commitments that day, but my partner, great partner, Kevin Mean, was able to, and I was able to watch the final seconds. I watched the first half and the final seconds. A tough last possession there. They weren't able to get a shot away. Brutal end, but let's talk about the good. So Paceling was the NJAC Player of the Year. She averaged over 16 points a game, just under 7 rebounds, and over 2 steals a game. Phenomenal year by her. So congrats. Sophomore Shannon McCoy got first team honors, and that was really cool. So they had, obviously, Pace made first team as well, so that's 2 first team honors, and Pace also won Player of the Year, and it was an honor watching that entire team all season long. They were really good. They did fall off at the end, and it was a surprise they lost to Jersey City. I think that was Jersey City's first playoff win in 31 years, so yeah, it was a tough end. They had that 4-game win streak towards the end of the year, so I thought they were getting back into a groove. They beat TCNJ on Senior Day, which was an unbelievable game to call. Sydney Foresta hit the game winner with 6 seconds to go. They were able to get the stop at the end, and that ended up actually being their last win of the season. That was really, really fun to call. They finished the season at 17-9, 13-5 in the end, Jack, but we'll see how they come back strong next year. They have a lot of good players, and Coach Mandy King knows exactly what she's doing. She's a great coach, and I'm sure she's going to have that program right back in the thick of things next season. For the men's, obviously a tough season, but we knew that going in. It's just a lot of building. They finished 6-19 overall, 3-15 in the conference, but there are a lot of fun games to call this season. The William Patterson win was fun. There was another game that I was able to call that they actually lost, but was still a really, really good game. So the Ramapo game I called, they won that. The Rutgers-North game, they fought very hard in, but they lost that one. So, overall, I also did, and the Rutgers-Camden one was one they probably should have won. I believe I did that one too. The TCNJ game was the last one I called. Obviously, TCNJ now champions of the NJAC. They are in the tournament. I believe they play Marietta in the first round. TCNJ ran all over Kean, but, it was a good building year. Tyrese Johnson was named NJAC Rookie of the Week to cap off the season. So congrats to him. Congrats to all the seniors. It was just Jeff Cooper, actually. He had a really good season this year. And, Coach Hutch definitely going to have those boys ready to go next season. They only lose one player. They only lose Jeff. So, obviously, lots to build on. And he's going to have that program doing really, really well in the future. So, let's go to lacrosse now. Let's start with the women's lacrosse team because I have an interview with Coach Johnson. Very fun interview that I was able to do with her. I think it's been a month since I did the interview. I've been gathering all these interviews up and editing and stuff. I had to make some changes lately just because of some scheduling changes. That's why it's taking so long to get this out. But, they're off to a pretty good start this season. They beat Mount St. Vincent 16-6. They beat, at the time, 24th ranked Scranton 9-8 in overtime. They just recently suffered their first loss of the season, 9-6. But all good stuff so far for this team. They're looking really good. And trying to get some point leaders here. So, Danny Lasaint has 13 goals. Wow. So, I haven't done a women's lacrosse game yet. My partner Kevin has done them. They were on the road for 2 of the 3 games. He did the Mount St. Vincent's game, but wow, 13 goals. That's kind of crazy in 3 games. So she obviously is the point leader. So that's all good stuff. And I also have an interview with her. So why don't you just take a listen? So, Coach Johnson, you have a lot of experience at the D1 level. How has that helped you now leading a program for the second time in your career?
I think, through coaching, all the different schools I've been at, all the different programs I've been a part of, you take a piece of each one of them, the good and the bad and things, you just learn along the way. So I think, it's more my overall experience from being with different programs and different teams rather than D1 versus D3. I think each school has a little bit different either philosophy or system of doing things. And so I just think my overall experience of being at different places and being able to adapt to different situations has really helped me now in my career.
First 2 seasons, you managed your team to the NJAC tournament, falling to TCNJ both times. How far off are you from those giants in D3, like a TCNJ competing-wise?
TCNJ has set the standard, in the country and especially in this conference. A million years ago, I used to be there, so I was a part of that for a little bit. And, I think that they've done such a good job, with New Jersey with recruiting. And one of the things that Coach Pfluger really does is, the standard that they set there each day at practice is super high. And I think that that's what everybody, in our conference and in the country is aspiring to. And I think, we have a lot of room to grow, but I don't think they are the giants that they used to be. And I think what's really awesome about our game right now, there's a lot of people growing and that, we've had a couple different national champions throughout the year. If you look at our Final Four from last year with some new faces and some new teams, which I think is really cool. I think it's really neat that we're able, our sport is growing so much that it's not the perennials anymore, that it's almost anyone's game now.
Now, you mentioned you were at TCNJ and you were exposed to, the winning culture that was there. How have you tried to bring over that winning culture to Kean now?
I think one of the things that I was impressed with when I went there was, the coaches had high expectations for the players, but it was really the players having high expectations of each other. And I think one of the things that we've been trying to do here is manage our player-to-player relationships and how you get that and how do you ask each other to give more. And I think it's a really hard thing to do. So what we've really focused on, instead of the standards or holding each other so much accountable, is really creating the relationships between teammates so that we have relationships to fall back on and we trust each other. And, in the heat of the moment when I tell you what's going on, or maybe it's a little bit of a negative interaction, we have relationships to fall back on. And I know that you have what's best interest and I can take what you say and take that criticism. So that's really our focus is creating positive, good relationships with each other and the team, which will hopefully evolve into some of those relationships on the field and being able to hold each other accountable.
So regardless of your roster makeup, you tend to make a very tough schedule. What factors do you take in making those scheduling decisions? Because some coaches look the other way and schedule a lot lighter schedule to win more games, but year in and year out, you have a tough schedule.
I think it's important. If you want to be the best, you got to play the best, and you got to be prepared. Our conference is a tough conference, and 2 years ago, we had a really good non-conference schedule. We started out, I think, 10-0, 11-0, and it was awesome. We came to conference, and that first game, we weren't prepared because we played lesser teams. We hadn't seen the defenses. We hadn't seen the players. So we thought we were really good, and so not only were we shocked, but we were underprepared. And as a coaching staff, we're underprepared because we didn't quite know what we were good at and what we weren't good at, And so I think it's really important that our conference schedule is so important. But if TCNJ is the first time that you're seeing that kind of defense and that kind of athletic ability on the other side, you have no shot. So that's one of the things I think is really important. I think it's a balance. I think you can't. Last year, I would say our schedule was a little tougher than I liked, but also it's the way the chips fell in the scheduling because you just kind of have to do that. But, I think it's really important to be prepared. And, I'll take a loss or two non-conference to make sure I get an extra win in conference. I think that that's important. It's not about wins and losses. It's about where you are at the end of the season.
You're returning 109 of your 187 goals from a season ago, including your top goal scorer, Danny Lassane. What about this group has you excited going into the season?
I think anybody on campus or anybody in this department will tell you my team is happy and energetic, and I really have enjoyed every day of practice. Even a bad day of practice is a great day with this group. I think because of the positivity, because of the leadership we have this year, because of just the overall, the kids say the vibe of this group, I think is going to get us further than we have been, or it's going to get us, in a tough game. I think that they're going to be able to persevere, and I think they're going to be more resilient just because of their attitudes. So that's the thing that we I wouldn't say struggled with in the past, but that's what this team really brings. And we have, we have 2 fifth-year seniors. We have 7 seniors that they've been around the block. They want to win. They want to do well. And they want to incorporate and encourage the younger kids. And I think that's really important. I think it's been really fun to watch.
You have anything?
Thanks, Coach. All right, and a big thanks to Coach B.J. Johnson for doing that interview. Obviously, lots of exciting stuff this season. They're looking to, get into the NJAC tournament and all that good stuff. So let's move on to the men's lacrosse team, because I also interviewed Coach Shelley Sheiner. I have to say, I've interviewed some great coaches, and all of them are phenomenal, but this was probably the funniest interview I've done with any of the coaches. Coach Sheiner is a real character. He's a joy to talk to, and I'm excited to do all the lacrosse games this season. So far, they've played 2, and they've had no trouble with the first 2 games against St. Joe's and Bard. Those teams were obviously very outmatched. Kean won 16-2 against St. Joe's, and the last night, actually, as I'm recording this, they beat Bard 25-5. And yeah, a lot of fun games to call. I'll tell you what, they're getting a lot of players playing time because of all these blowouts early on in the season, and that's really good. That's really good that they're getting all this playing time in. Brady Moore has led the way. He has 7 goals and 7 assists in 2 games. He had about 8 points in the first, quarter and a half last night. Period and a half, whatever they call it in lacrosse. I'm just getting to know the game as well, so give me a break there, but I believe it's quarters. But it's a really fun game to call. It's very physical. I mean, I've already seen a couple, not fights, but confrontations on the field. And yeah, so Brady Moore had he had 8 points in the first quarter and a half, which I thought was kind of nuts. And everyone else just doing their job, doing good stuff. And yeah, as of Saturday, they're going to be playing Salve Regina at 1 o'clock. So hopefully everyone comes out to Alumni Stadium to support them. First 2 games, I have to say, the crowd has been absolutely phenomenal in terms of support. Then they go on the road. They play DeSalles, Oneonta. Then they come back home to play FDU Florham. And then they start CSAC play against Montclair State. So Kean was talking about men's lacrosse now. They were picked to finish 3rd in the CSAC behind Stockton, who are the defending champs, and Montclair State, who was picked to finish 2nd. So we'll see where they can go from here. Now, they've made the playoffs 14 straight years, but as of lately, they haven't they haven't won a playoff game in 6 years. I asked Coach Sheiner about that, and plenty more. So take a listen to this interview, and I'll talk after. And here we go. All right, Coach, so 14 straight years of making postseason play. How do you continue that consistency in the program, being a postseason team and instilling that winning culture?
Recruiting good players. That's kind of the easy question. But just recruiting good players and dedicated kids and just working hard. They've been working hard for quite some time.
For the people who don't know, who are some of the big returning players that are going to make an impact on the team this season?
I think one of our biggest returners is senior long stick midfielder Matt Palmieri. He was an all-conference player last year. We have another all-conference junior defenseman in Matt Tanis. And we have another all-conference attackman, senior Jake Frankovitz. Those 3 guys are I'm hoping for big seasons out of them. And then we also return, he'll be ready to go hopefully by the midseason, another all-conference defenseman in Greg Castor.
You returned 3 of your top 5 point leaders from a season ago with Jake, Cole, and Kyle. How excited are you to see those 3 work together and help the team improve this season?
Really excited. I mean, those guys return offensively. Cole Blackley has been having outstanding practices, outstanding scrimmage, really being a senior leader out there on the offensive end. Jake Frankovitz, like I said before, he's kind of picking up where he left off. Kyle Ryder, every year he has gotten better. and I'm expecting some really great things out of him. I mean, last year he started slow and then really hit stride. I think it was like when we played Manhattanville, and he's been kind of like on that upward trajectory since. So I'm really excited to see what Kyle does in his junior year.
Any player that has stood out to you in training camp and the early practices that maybe you didn't see having a big season, but you think could be poised for one?
I think we're getting some really good play out of two defensemen that kind of platooned for us last year in senior Ryan Gallagher and sophomore Drew Campanella, as well as sophomore Ben Martin. I think those guys have been kind of some nice surprises on the defensive side of the ball. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I think some nice surprises have been sophomore Danny Bill and sophomore Justin Arredondo. Justin Arredondo had an injury last year, so his season was kind of cut short, and he's doing a nice job for us too.
So 3 home games early on that I'll be calling until the boys head out to California. Let's talk about those first 3 opponents, St. Joe's, Bard, and South Regina. What are we going to see in terms of the competition level from those 3 teams? Home crowd going to be there, obviously.
Well, St. Joe's always plays us tough. They are super well coached by Coach Rotans. He's kind of a Long Island lacrosse legend, and they're definitely going to come to play. They are a gritty, tough Long Island team. Bard plays in a really tough conference, so they're not going to be shaking in their shoes to play us, so that they're used to kind of high level competition. And Salve's off to a good start already. They're undefeated as we speak. So those 3 games are going to be kind of critical to kind of get traction and hit the ground running with with hopefully getting some wins. I mean, obviously we'd like to get all 3 of them, and I think we definitely have the talent to get all 3. But we're gonna, it's not like they're going to be easy games for us. There are no easy games for us.
Let's talk about the CSAC. You enter your 2nd season in the CSAC. What are you expecting from those teams again this season after a 3rd place finish and a first round elimination a season ago?
I expect us to compete and win the conference. I mean, that's kind of, you could say, all right, that's, it's might be a bold statement, considering that we've been kind of, one and done in the playoffs the past couple of years. But I think we have the right mixture. This is the largest roster I've ever had, of 50 guys. We're at max capacity with our roster, and it's the most deepest and most talented team that I've had ever. As far as, like, we've had some really talented teams. I'm not trying to, say that this team is better than that team. I know there's always those debate, but we've got some players, some freshmen that I think are going to step up for us, some transfers that are going to step up for us, and all the returners that we just mentioned. Like we mentioned, all the returners. I mean, I didn't hit upon, our transfers that I think are just going to add to this, this big gumbo of Kean lacrosse. So I think it's going to be really, really exciting for us this year.
So you said that this is one of your, if not your most talented roster, deepest rosters. You've been to the postseason for 14 straight years. The last 6 years, like you said, you've been one and done. What has to be done to get over that postseason hump for you guys, and is this the year to do it?
I think, yes, I think this is the year to do it. That's number one. I think number 2, staying healthy has been a big problem for us the past few years. We've just never had that consistency because we've had so many injuries, especially last year. At one point we started 7 different guys on attack.
Wow.
So, to get that consistency and to win a championship, it's tough to do if you're starting that many guys because of injuries. So staying healthy is critical. And I think when we play the 1 and 2 in our conference from prior years, whether it's Montclair or Stockton, I think we just got to be a little bit better prepared, and I'm going to say that falls on not just the players but also the coaching staff. I think we just all in all need to be better prepared and just better focused going into those games.
Finish it up, Coach. I've heard you're a food aficionado.
Absolutely.
Where is the best pizza around Kean University?
Oof. Okay. All right. Santillo's in Elizabeth is top notch. But if you want to stay close to campus, like pretty close to campus, I'm a big fan of Pizza Villa, right on North. I think that's a great spot. The guys like Johnny Napkins. I'm okay with Johnny Napkins, but I don't know. Pizzaville is kind of old school, so I'm kind of like an old school guy. So I like Pizzaville a little bit. I like those guys over there.
There you have it. Thanks a lot, Coach. And then I asked him about his incoming freshman class. So take a listen to that. All right, Coach, let's talk about first-year freshmen, and then we'll get to the transfers that you had this season. Talk about the new freshmen coming in.
It's a great freshman class. I think kind of like a couple of our outstanding freshmen. So like if I just kind of guys that I think are going to maybe help us like right away. It's going to start with Anthony Porter in the midfield. Anthony was a 3-time All-State player out of Scotch Plains High School. So I think he's going to definitely fit in somewhere in our midfield rotation. We've got another all-county, all-league type midfielder in freshman Travis Hines. And he's been outstanding in the fall, and he was outstanding in the preseason. And then I really like our freshman lefty attackman, Connor Badger. He's from Long Island. He's all the way out in Riverhead, Long Island. And he's not the biggest guy. He only goes about 140 pounds, but he's got a great stick, great head for the game, and I think he's definitely going to help us at some point.
Where would you put this class compared to, some of the other classes you've had?
That's hard to say just because, you kind of sum up how good a recruiting class is at the end of their career. Not just even at the end of their freshman year. It's kind of like at the end of the career, like how good was that class coming in. So, if I got to compare it to the class.
Excitement level, we'll say.
Yeah. This is a pretty exciting group. I think there were a lot of Division I schools and Division II, other Division III schools that were recruiting Porter and Hines and Badger. So, they were lucky, or we were lucky rather, to get them here.
And how about some transfers? Because I know you have some transfers coming in. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. Let us know about those guys.
Well, we got a few transfers, but I think we tried to keep him secret, but he's a big time player. Is Brady Moore? Brady was a junior college All-American. Brady was a Division I player. He's got 3 years of eligibility here with us. He's in Tackman, and I think he's going to be he's kind of elevated everyone's play, and he is absolutely. He's taken the long road to get to Kean. As transfers, sometimes they come in with stories, but he has been nothing but short of exceptional since he's walked on foot here on campus. And I'm expecting big things from him. And then we have, another 2 transfer. Travis Hines, our freshman brother Cole, he transferred in mid-year, and he's looked outstanding. And we've had another transfer from the University of Tampa, George Capria. I think those 3 guys they're gonna help us a lot.
Let's end it with the last line of defense. What's the goalie situation looking like this season?
We got 4 really good goalies, and we're lucky enough to have a great goalie coach in Coach Kaiteka, and he was working hard with those guys every day. Honestly, it's like a 4-horse race right now. I would say, senior Zach Kohler, junior Tom Francie, sophomore Mike Ukis, junior Mike Ukis, and they're kind of at the forefront. We have a freshman goalie, Hunter Rivera, who's looked outstanding. I think, it's hard to tell, but the 3 upperclassmen are really, really battling it out, and it's going to be exciting. And one of the things is. Which I love about our goalies is they have this great camaraderie. One guy's in the net, the other 3 guys are cheering that guy on. So there's no like, wow, I hope this guy slips on a banana peel. But they're all outstanding and they've looked great.
How much does experience matter to you when you're talking about goalies in terms of starting one or leaning on one most of the season?
Well, a lot. All the goalies we have are pretty experienced. The 3 upperclassmen.
Yeah.
They're pretty experienced. But I'll say, my first thing I look for in a goalie is you got to stop the ball. You got to stop the ball, and then you got to clear the ball well. And I like all of them. I think we're lucky and we're fortunate enough that we are deep in that position, and we'll see how. We'll see who steps in cage on March 2nd, right?
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Coach. We'll see you March 2nd against St. Joe's. And then finally, we ended the interview with some great questions, and I think I finally stumped him on the last one. So take a listen to that. All right, now the fun part of the interview. Coach, your pregame meal for every game, if you had to choose one meal, what is it?
One meal.
Meal.
I love a good chicken cutlet sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Love a good chicken cutlet sandwich, especially the chicken cutlet at Dara's.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best one.
How about the pregame music? And do any of the guys on the team play any of the music that you like? We'll start with that.
Yeah, I love music. I'm a big music aficionado, and I love. We've had some staple songs on our warm up. Every Kean lacrosse player knows "Audio Slave," "Shadow on the Sun." That's our stretch song. Atlantic City by Bruce Springsteen, and then it's got to be some type of rap on there. Like I'm I don't look it, but I love rap music. So I'm a big Wu-Tang Clan guy. Probably this year we'll have some Drake on it. We'll have some Post Malone. I like Post Malone. And then if we're going on the rock side, I'm a big Rise Against guy and Clutch. Those are some songs that
Just
you'll
went to a
hear.
Post concert last week. Phenomenal.
How was it? How was the post?
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
I was so mad because I wanted to go, and it was obviously we had practice, and I had practice, and I had to do things at home, so I couldn't make it. So hopefully I'll see him this summer.
Here's one more. If you had to spend a day, 24 hours, with any of the other coaches here at Kean, who is it going to be?
Wow, that's a great question. I could give you the company answer, and I could say, I would love to spend it with Matt Caruso, but he'd probably have me like, painting walls or like moving things, and no, but I wouldn't mind spending the day with Matt. But if we're talking coaches now, oof, this is a good one. Coaches. I live in the same hometown as Coach Graff, the assistant football coach and our strength coach. So I see him a lot. So I don't know if I'd pick Coach Graff. I would probably, well, you know what? This is kind of an easy one. Because he's a Kean guy and I'm a Kean guy, it would probably have to be B-Dogs, Coach Brian Doherty. I think we would have our women's soccer coach, because he's a Kean guy, I'm a Kean guy. We kind of, we'll kind of gravitate towards one another. He makes me laugh.
Right next door to you, too.
Right next door to me. They put us together. But, there's a lot of great coaches here, and I wouldn't mind spending a whole day with... I don't... See, the better question is, who would want to spend the day with me? Because I'd get them, we'd probably be listening to, heavy metal music and getting tattoos or something. I don't know if everyone wants to follow Coach Sheiner around, that way. But, they're all great coaches. Honestly, the staff here at Kean is awesome.
Oh, that's the third part of the 3-part interview here with Coach. Thanks a lot. All right, thanks again to Coach Sheiner. I think I finally stumped him with that last question about who would he spend the day with, any of the other coaches. I was looking to stump him, and I think I finally did on that last one. So, thankfully, that all went good. So, men's volleyball. Yeah, we're going to do men's volleyball. They're 7-10 right now. Obviously, tough. It's tough year. They have some players sitting out, but the players that are playing now doing phenomenal job. How about the freshman Jared Ray? He's won back-to-back. Let me get this right. So he won CVC Player of the Week, and he's won back-to-back NJAC Rookie of the Week, and he's earned them all. I mean, this guy is flat out dominating. I've done a lot of the men's volleyball games this year, and my man is balling out. For the season right now, keep in mind, he's a freshman, hence the Rookies of the Weeks he's winning. He has 229 kills in not even 17 games, because he hasn't played every game. He sat out the first of the doubleheader last weekend, and then he came in and absolutely dominated Ramapo. They've won 3 in a row, all in straight sets. They beat SUNY Poly on February 23rd, which is Sunday. And then on the Saturday, on the 29th, they had a tri-match. So they played Immaculata and Ramapo, and they won in straight sets, both of them. Ramapo actually came in with the better record, and Kean won in straight sets behind Jared Ray, who had 24 kills. Let's not forget Seth Russell, who's also having a great season. He's a junior. He's second on the team in kills. Let's see. I want to get his kills right here. 131 kills. He's the second place man. So they're all doing really good, and Coach Jinnick's is really fun to talk to. Great coach, obviously. He's getting the most out of his players this year. And they're just getting into CVC play now. They're 3-1. They have wins over Newman. They lost to Marymount. They beat Randolph Macon and Immaculata. So coming up next, their next game is not till March 17th unless they schedule some more. They'll play Rutgers Newark, who at the moment sits 5th in the country. So that'll be a tough game. And then they have Eastern Minot, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in Southern Virginia on back-to-back nights right here at Harwood Arena. So then this is just in the works now. I'm hoping that I can hook up with Coach Don Perkins, the head coach of the women's volleyball team, and do a broadcast with him for one of the games. He'll be my color commentator. I'll do the play-by-play, obviously. That's been in the work for a while. I'm hoping we get that done. We get a date set for that. That is going to be really fun because Coach Perkins is a great guy. He's obviously very knowledgeable about volleyball. He taught me a lot about the sport when I started announcing in the fall semester his women's team. So he can add great insight to the broadcast, and hopefully that's able to work out because that is really, really cool. So last thing we're going to talk about here is softball and baseball. Let's start with softball because they are off to an incredibly hot start. They're 8-0. They started the season not ranked, and now they've catapulted all the way up to 11th in the country. Haley Sweeney and Annabelle Marino both earned NJAC Softball Weekly honors. Sweeney was named NJAC Rookie of the Week for the second straight week, and Marino was tabbed as the NJAC Rookie Pitcher of the Week. And yeah, this team is absolutely raking right now. They're 8-0. They went to North Carolina. They beat 12th ranked Randolph Macon 7-2. They beat North Carolina Westland 4-3, Lynchburg 4-2, and William Peace 5-2. So they're scheduling more games now. Just recently, the new schedule came. I haven't done a softball game yet. As I was away that weekend, the same weekend as the women's playoff game, so I wasn't able to do any of their opening week games, and then they've been on the road since. But they just scheduled a new game against Mount St. Mary's College on Wednesday, March 11th, so I'm hoping I'll be at the stadium for that one and get to see what's going on, because obviously it's a lot of good stuff going on, and I definitely want to see what's, I believe they were picked. Let's go into the archives real quick. I believe they were picked favorites in the NJAC or second, or maybe third. It was definitely top three. Yeah, here it is. All right, so they were picked third to finish in the NJAC. Rowan picked to finish second. TCNJ picked to finish first. TCNJ is right now 10th in the country. Kean is 11th. I'm assuming those two are going to be battling out all year, obviously, with Rowan for the NJAC. Should be fun. Should be in. So, yeah, very excited to be able to call softball very soon. Sorry, I just had to pause the recording there. I have my dog in the room in my personal recording studio here, and he was getting restless and he wanted to leave. So, back to the recording. So, that's softball. And then the last but not least, certainly not least, is baseball, which I have had the honor of calling almost every game because all their games have been home. I think I only missed about 4 games, and they've played 11. They're 5-0 in my broadcast, and actually 6-0 now in the broadcast, and 2-2 in games that I don't do. So maybe I'm just the good, or 5-0 in games that I do, and 2-2 in games that I don't. So maybe I just have to call every game from now on. I wish I could do every sporting event. Obviously, a lot of them overlap, and there's only 2 of us, so I can't get to every sporting event. I love doing baseball, so I'm hoping and softball I want to do a lot more of, so I'm hoping to be there for the rest of their games. They're scheduling a lot of other games. Obviously, a lot of stuff got canceled, so they're playing Gwinnett Mercy on Thursday. They're playing St. John's Fisher, who at the moment I believe is ranked 14th in the country. Kean, by the way, has moved up to 10th in the country. And yeah, I mean, I could comment on a lot of the stuff going on and with the team. There's a lot of good stuff. How about the freshman Christian Corcione, who is hitting the ball really well right now? I believe he's a freshman, actually. Let me double check that. I believe, yeah. So the freshman from Howell, New Jersey. He's batting .310. He's 9 for 29. He's got 9 ribbies. They all steal bases. They're one of the most aggressive. They are the most aggressive baseball team I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they'll bunt, they'll steal, they'll do anything at any time. I'm pretty sure I saw a suicide squeeze attempt with the bases loaded and 2 outs the other day. I mean, they're not afraid to do anything. They had a walk-off win against the college at Old Westbury. 5-4, Zach Marzano got that. And their pitching is what's going to drive them to wherever they want to go this year. NJAC championship, national championship, whatever. They have 2 absolute horses at the top. Or you could put anyone at the top, but, I mean, Colin Kiernan and Kevin Stewart. Kevin Stewart, ridiculously good lefty, has nasty stuff. Both of those pitchers have been phenomenal. Bruce Lyon has also been great. Frank LeJudas, another good pitcher. They have a ton of pitching depth. I think Justin Hernandez won Pitcher of the Week already for the NJAC. They have great stuff, and I think that's what's going to be the strong point of this team as they go throughout the season. They're only 9 games in, but I think it's the pitching that's going to lead this team. I could say that with some certainty. They were pick favorites in the NJAC, so NJAC play doesn't start till March 28th, where they host a doubleheader against Rowan. And then from there, it's Stockton, William Patterson. These are all 2 and 3 game sets. Actually, they're only 2 game sets in play. So all these are 2 game sets. To finish off their non-conference schedule, it goes like this right now. Now, I know they're adding more games, so more games probably will be added. But for now, it's Gwinnett Mercy, and these are all home games. St. John's Fisher, Hood College. Then they go to Alvernia. And then they play Moravian, which is a makeup. They'll play Muhlenberg. I will not be on the call for that Muhlenberg game. Just a heads up. Kevin Meehan will be on the call that. Then they go at Keystone. Then they're home again against St. Joe's Long Island. Home against Farmingdale State. And that leads us up to NJAC play. Now that could all change. Not all of it, obviously. Those games are all staying. But there could be more games scheduled. I assume there'll be 1, maybe 2 more. But we'll have to see. So I think that about wraps it all up for the January and February recap. I don't think I'm missing anything. I wrote it all down. Quick shout out to football. Let's give a quick shout out to football because they participated in the Read Across America over the weekend. I saw that on Twitter, so that's really cool. Shout out to all those boys. Coach Garrett doing good stuff there. Any more shout-outs that I'm forgetting? Let's see. How about field hockey? They were honored by the National Coaches Association for academic achievements. So, I think that's going to wrap it up. This has been John Mastice on the Kean Sports Show. Hopefully this isn't the last time, but we'll see what's going on in the future. But thanks to all the coaches, Coach Sheiner, Coach Swenson, Coach Johnson for coming on the show. Appreciate everyone, and take it easy.